Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, February 2nd meeting of the Bethany City Council. I'll call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for the invocation by Councilmember Knapp, and then remain standing for the flag salute, please.
So bow your heads with me, please. Father, we thank you for all of the blessings that you have given us and continue to give us. Thank you for allowing us to come together as community members for the good of our city, for our community. Thank you for all of the blessings, the many blessings that you've given us through this winter season. Protect us from harm. Please bless all of those that give us peace, our armed troops, our first responders that continue to bless us, and all of the members of the city staff that help resolve issues and make things happen in this city. Thank you once again. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on tonight's agenda is the consent docket. We have items 1A through D. Do any of those need to be pulled or addressed separately? If not, I'll take a motion on the consent docket as a whole.
Motion to approve, please.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 2 is a call to the public. If any member of the audience wishes to address the council, please step forward to the podium. First state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Mayor, the individual coming would like to have an additional 3 minutes. Could I ask that we could vote to give him 6 rather than 3?
Okay, do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, please post your votes.
Dale, right there.
I'm Dale Krameyer. I've been a resident of Bethany for 19 years, and I'm a strong supporter of the public libraries, not only Bethany Library, but all of them. I probably call the libraries between 1 to 3 times each day because I do a lot of research work. I am in definite big support for a new library in Bethany. It's one of the worthy project as such. I know it's going to cost the people some money, but it's well worth it as such. And the beautiful site that we have now with the pond, with the ducks and the geese, I don't think you could have a better location than that. I know it costs something to tear it down, but to reconstruct a new Bethany library in that place would be so great as such. Hopefully they'll have enough money at that $8.1 million to build something similar to the Patience Ladding Library at Northwest 122nd and MacArthur. That is a model library that everybody is very proud of there in that community, and we can have something similar in Bethany community as such. I don't share what the exact dollar figure was on the one hand on that Patience Ladding Library. It serves 2 purposes. It serves a purpose as a library in a fallout shelter since it's built in the side of the hill, and it has some monuments around it, or statues around the library too, which is very nice to have. I've been going to libraries for a long time. I always loved those special programs like the Moscow nights they had at our public library here in Bethany. I hate to say there wasn't much space for anybody to sit because our whole meeting room was completely packed. I think they said they had 119 people that night. So a lot of the younger ones sat on the floor, but at least at the library, the Northwest Library seats probably, if they put enough chairs out, seats probably somewhere over 300 or more, and it has great sound system there where your voice will carry. A very great distinguished library there as such, and with all the architectural glass as such. I think we could hopefully, I didn't contact the architects that did that one. I know we have a different architect firm that will be doing the Bethany Library, but maybe they can take a look and take some notes about that one on Northwest 122nd and MacArthur. And that library was named after a mayor, Patience Ladding, and I would like to see the library here in Bethany named after one of our leading citizens, Dr. Shannon Lucid, who was an astronaut who set a world's record for the most time in space, first as a woman, then later as anyone in space. The only ones that beat her out at that time was the cosmonauts later on, and she grew up in Bethany Public Schools, Bethany Elementary Schools, Bethany High School. So I can't think of the person more worthy to name the library Dr. Shannon Lucid Community Library, or Dr. Shannon Lucid Bethany Library as such. And I design monuments, and I would be glad to do that free of charge, to put something in front of the library. That would be great to do that. Dr. Shannon Lucid, I had a chance to meet her in 1998. I was doing an aerospace camp, and I was the coordinator for that. And to show you what kind of person she is, I called her at NASA, and I said I would like if you could come to our school at Page Woodson School in Oklahoma City Public Schools to see if you could talk to the kids about NASA and some of the things that she did. And she brought an astronaut suit, and she brought models for the kids that were space shuttles. And what a nice person. How many people would fly all the way from Houston, Texas, to speak to about 78 kids? Not too many people. I sort of get emotional every time I talk about that. But anyway, please support the library. And I really appreciate the people on the steering committee that has done a great job getting this thing off the ground for the library. And maybe we'll have a library just as good or just as great as the one on Northwest 122nd in MacArthur. So that would be nice. I'm sorry I get so emotional when I talk about these things. But anyway, God bless everybody and keep up the good work in Bethany. I know some people got a little bit shaken up in regard to the ice storm we had, and they want everything done in one day. You can't clear out a jillion trees in one day. It takes time, and I commend Bethany. They coming up with a new way to save money with that afterburner that you have at Eldon Lyon Park. In the long run, you save big bucks for Bethany. I don't know how many people know that, but maybe they should put that in the newspaper so we got something started that's new. I think there's only 4 places in the country that are doing something like this, and that's just great, War Acres has spent a small fortune already, but, we just mainly interested in Bethany taking care of our trees as such, but you don't get those big ice storms all the time. About once every 4 years, something like that, that really happens really big like that. But,
Mr. Kramer,
yes.
that beep was the 6-minute mark.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, yeah.
We appreciate your support of the library.
Yeah, I do what I can to help, and I got some other projects for Bethany too that I'll talk another time about. Is that okay? Well, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council?
Orville Williams, 4001 Patty Lane. That was a very heartfelt presentation. And it pleases me that the citizens of Bethany feel strongly about the things they need. The library, the problems with the water, the shortfalls anticipated in the General Revenue Fund. Those are the business of the council. What we saw last Thursday should never be the business of this council. It was misguided, handled very wrongly, and should have been done in a more professional and correct manner. Please, keep in mind what you were elected to do. Handle the actual business of the city, not the political vendettas, not the other activities. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council? Hearing or seeing none, I'll move on to item 3, which is a public hearing item, consideration and possible approval of a special use request by Gary Berlin, applicant, and West Indies Trading Company, LLC, property owners for the purpose of building a 1,500 square foot accessory building at 8024 Northwest 36th Street. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You did hear this item on January 5. Unfortunately, I was not able to be here at that meeting, and requested some additional information that has now been submitted, and Danielle will present that information to you.
Good evening. I'll just kind of run through here and show you some of the things that have changed since the last time you saw this, and then if you have any questions, myself and the applicant's also here to be able to answer those. The things that kind of changed was primarily the height of the building and the location. Again, there was no letters of protest that was received. This is kind of a survey that was done per the request, and the height of the building is now 14 foot 9 inches, I believe is what it was, yes. And the height of the house is 15 feet 1 inch. The roof pitch was a 312 pitch, which is very similar to that of the house. And as you can see here, the elevation is about 100 feet between the house and the accessory structure, so the height of the accessory structure will indeed be lower than the height of the house. Planning and zoning did recommend for approval, and this is just kind of a side view. This is the north side view of what the building will look like. And then, of course, we have the east and west view. And there'll be a garage door that'll be on the west side as well as the north side. And that is what the house currently looks like as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to answer them.
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
On the plat plan, it shows that the building will be 35 feet wide.
Yes, it was 30 by,
And on your
35 by
plans,
50.
you're showing it 30 feet wide.
It's actually 30 feet wide. I don't know where the 35 feet is.
It's on these plat plans, it's 30 feet wide, or 35 feet wide. So it will be 30 feet.
it does say 35 on
And
there.
Yes, the surveyor made a mistake on that.
Okay.
Danielle.
Gary, why don't you come on over?
Sure.
move it down so we can speak into it.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Commissioner Shirey.
That's quite all right. We're trying to find out about what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
And if the elevation is from the difference between the height of the house and the height of the building. So if the building falls off or raises, if the property raises towards the back, the 4 inches we have to play with will go away in a hurry.
Right, but if you'll look at this survey that was submitted, you'll see that the house is at a height of 100.5 feet, and where the building's going, the highest corner is 100 feet, 0.2. The other next highest corner is 100 feet, 0.1, and the other two on the west end are 98.7.
So the
So
property
all
falls-
those are under the height of the house, elevation-wise, elevation-wise.
So you have no problem with that. Then at the time that you call for a final inspection, we would probably have a inspector go down and take a look at it.
No problem. I had
No
a
problem there at
professional, I had a professional survey guy
Okay,
come out and do
and,
this.
make sure that it meets the city code, whether these things here do meet the city code or not, I don't know.
Okay.
That's all I have. Thank you very much, Mr. Berlin.
Were there any other questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Any other questions of staff or the applicant, counsel? Okay, this is a public hearing item. If any member of the audience wishes to address the council on this item, now would be the time. Okay, hearing or seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Anyone want to make a motion on item 3?
I move following the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission and approving the proposed 1,500 square foot accessory building at 8,024 Northwest 36th Street.
And that would be with the revised dimensions and roof pitch.
Yes, with the revisions.
I'll second her motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or discussion? Please post your votes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4 is a presentation by Dewberry Architects concerning the proposed Bethany Library. John?
Well, we've got a lot of preliminary work, in fact, a little bit further along in preliminary work. I sent out some information late last week, and our chairman would like to make a few remarks. Okay?
I'd like to introduce Mrs. Whitson. It's with the Dewberry Architects, and she and her firm have worked very diligently to put together what we're going to see tonight. I want to thank Dewberry, and I want to thank the Metropolitan Library System, and I want to thank the committee for all their hard work, and the Bethany Library people, too.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, and I want to thank the building committee as well. Todd and I were talking over dinner that this group has been a real great opportunity to work with, very professional, positive, and couldn't ask for a better group. Tonight what we have is what we're just calling the conceptual design. It's based on the building program that the council approved, and the budget that was discussed back in December. So we've moved it forward enough to really test it, to make sure that it works, to get all the spaces that are in the program, to test the site and the parking, as well as the drainage and the retention. So this is what we are proposing that the city use to go forward with the voters. The site is the existing site, using the new building is shown in white, and it is located just to the south of the existing building. but the existing building would be torn down for the expanded parking. We're showing about 109 parking spaces. And we have parking close to the building. We have a few spaces by the staff and delivery entrance, and then we also have some parking spaces head in to the playground. You can see to the northeast of the pond is a new playground area. The area to the south of the library will be designed for additional retention when the heavy storms. And currently, the building is about 9 feet above the current water level. And it's about 2.5, 3 feet above the highest water level that has been experienced. The floor plan, the entry is on the north side of the building, and you come into a lobby area that can be closed off from the rest of the library, and from that lobby you can get access to the restrooms, to a small conference room or multi-purpose room that seats about 20, and then into the large meeting room that can be divided. And the large meeting room, when it's opened into one room, can hold up to 100, and then if it's divided, it's more like 80 on the small side and about 180 on the other side. Both parts of the meeting room have storage for table and chairs, and then access to a small kitchen for serving refreshments or a caterer to come in. So that whole area can be closed off for after hours. Or then you continue into the library. There's a service desk as you enter with computers in front, and then the green area to the south is the teen area. The sort of teal blue color is all of the adult area, which includes 4 study rooms looking out over the pond, as well as a quiet reading on the southeast corner, again looking to the south, to the Y, and over the pond. And then the children's area is the pinkish red that's on the north east side of the plan. It has its own program room, family restroom, storage area, and then the rest of that space is open and very flexible for collections and seating. We've also, based on all the input we got from the community, incorporated some porches. We have a more square porch just to the south of the children's program room, so that outdoor type programs could happen in there in a nice, secure, safe atmosphere, so that if you had pets or outdoor types activities, they could happen there. And then we have a long, more quiet porch between the quiet reading room and the study rooms, which anyone could obviously go out, but it's really designed more for adults as an adult reading porch. And then the brown areas is the staff area with their work area, drive-up book return. We do have, again, based on the citizens' request, we did work in a drive-through book return so that people can return materials without getting out of their car. And you can see the vehicle in that drive along the west side of the library. And then the other feature we did include, again, based on the community input, was the media lab or the electronic content creation room that would allow opportunities such as 3D printers, but they could also be used for digital recording, green screen, editing, and those kind of things. So it's the media lab. And then we looked at it from three-dimensional. This is a twilight view of the north side of the library with the children's program room to the left as you look at the rendering. The long visual glass is looking into children's, then the entry with its covered entry, and then to the right side is the meeting room. A lot of what we heard from the community, again, was daylight. So we do have lots of opportunities for north daylight coming into the building. There's a clear story that's just past the children's area, letting north daylight into the adult reading areas, as well as north light coming into that entry spine. And then the second rendering we have is looking at the southeast corner. So you're seeing the quiet reading room directly ahead, and then the adult porch, the four group study rooms to the right and the children's program room. And then to the left is the glass facing south with covering. And you can see some of the east clear story coming into the center spine. So daylight studies were done so that we can harvest daylight, save power. Again, that was a real strong recommendation from the community. So with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions anyone may have.
Danelle,
Yeah.
what was the seating in the two meeting rooms?
The multipurpose one, when it's open without the divider, it can seat up to 300 in auditorium-type seating.
So then it was 120 and 80.
Well, it's about 180 on the one side and about 80 on the other.
Okay.
You lose a little when you divide it because you have more aisle space.
Thank you.
And then the children's program room is about 30 to 40 seating in that, and then we also have that conference room as well, and then the 4 study rooms. Again, try to really integrate what we heard from the community into this building. Yes.
In your plan, is there any way that possibly there could be a safe room or something just in the bedrooms?
We do have a storage room that is designed to be a safe room.
With a steel barrier or something?
Well, there's different levels in there, and the exact level hasn't been determined yet. Any other questions?
I'm guessing it's not meant to be a public storm.
No, it's for safety of individuals that might be in that building at the time. But no, it's not considered, to do that, we'd have to take a much larger room like the multipurpose room. Yes. Any other? The whole library is designed with shelving that's flexible and changeable, but it's for AV is designed to be face-out display, and actually I can show you quickly. The area between actually children's and adults is the new books and the AV collection. They don't have enough space to do hardly anything right now, as you know.
Good.
Yes.
Did you say what the square footage of this building would be in a finished condition?
It's just over 23,000.
And the present one we have,
It's about 8,000.
about 8,000. So we're talking about 3 times the space.
Close to 3 times the space, yes, correct. You mean like geothermal or? We're not to that point. It could be explored. Well,
I'm
thank you.
pleased to see how well you listened to the people that came to the meetings, and I know they were very firm about wanting the location where it is now and wanting to see outside and the daylighting, and there was just such consensus regardless of the age of the people or how much they used the library. They knew what they wanted, and I think you've certainly reflected that, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Yes, this community, probably more than any other I've ever worked with, had very strong consensus on the top probably 10, 15 items, even on the look and feel that they wanted for the building. Thank you. All right.
I believe that, this particular building should conform to the image of our city. And our city is not a replica northwest Oklahoma City at the areas of northwest 122nd and MacArthur. We do not have any bocage. We do not have any of those areas up there. And this seems to me to be, although I do believe that our library is probably undersized, but at the time it was built, Bethany still had 20,000 people in it, and it still has 20,000 people now. It's difficult to see that we triple size of the building without increasing the size of the city. And the original cost of that building was, I think, somewhere above $1 million. It was about $2 million, and maybe a little less than $2 million. It seems like it's really does not promote itself to the image of our city. It's a lovely building. I will be the first one to admit, and I've said it before you even started this, we do need a better library than what we have, because there is probably at least 3 times as much information out there that's around than what we had at the time that the original building was built.
Yeah, and you make very good points, but part of the reason libraries are much bigger now is they still have the books, but they also have the computers,
Yes.
and they have all the meeting spaces. That existing library has hardly any space for people to come together. A good almost 25% of this building, between the children's program space and the large meeting room and the support spaces for that and the quiet reading room and group studies, that adds a lot of square footage. Also, because our libraries are open a lot more hours, they have a lot more staff. So the staff areas are bigger than they used to be as well. So the laws have changed. ADA, most libraries, if you just take an existing library and bring the collection, house it how it should be, on shelves where you can reach the materials, have aisles that meet handicapped, and provide the others, just any library, without even adding additional services, almost doubles in size before you even add other things. So this is not unusual, even though the population hasn't changed.
And this is true. You know, the seating we have there now is probably a little short, to say the least.
To say the least.
For that
That's what we
type
heard over and over again.
That
Your library had unfortunately turned into what I call stop-and-go library. You come in and get what you need, but you can't stay because there's hardly anywhere to sit down. And so how it got used over these years has changed.
Well, the meeting rooms that you have planned are not study rooms or anything like that. They
We have 4 of them that are study rooms.
You have, but the larger, the 300 seating, is probably 10 times as large as what we have now.
Not 10, but it's probably about 4.
It's significant, though, that our community does not have a community center. We don't have a senior citizen center. I mean, this is our community meeting space. And so that's the reason it needs to be bigger. We don't have another place to send people.
Tomorrow I will coffee and arts and crafts with Evening Jesus at the Bethany Library from 10:30 to 11:30. And she don't really have the space that she needs in the meeting room. You know, people can get in here, but it's very crowded. And every time they have a program, like for the Moscow Nights, they're just hanging out the door. There's no
Council, were there any other comments, questions?
Right.
Thank you,
Okay,
Dana.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 5 is consideration and possible action with respect to professional service agreements pertaining to the issuance of said bonds and other materials related thereunto. John or Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We will have to sell general obligation bonds if we build this library, and I would like to propose that we use the services of Municipal Finance Services, Inc. We've used them in the past. In fact, they were our advisor for our last 2 GO bond sales, and they've also assisted us with the Water Resources Board loans. They've been around since the 90s. I don't remember exactly when Mr. Smith broke away, but about 92 or 3 or so. He helped our hospital with some matters also. But they've helped Oklahoma agencies with about $5 billion, that's a B, billion with a B, in financings. They know exactly how to sell GO bonds. They don't get paid if the bonds, if we don't have election that passes, they don't get paid. If the bonds don't sell, they don't get paid. If the Attorney General kicks all the documents back and says we messed it up, they don't get paid. So from now until the bonds are issued, they've got a lot of work to do, and John Wolf is here tonight to discuss some of the documents and then tell you a little bit more about their firm and then answer any questions you might have. John also worked for Del City, Midwest City? Del City, and also with the state auditor's office. And that's where John Robinson met him, was when they were both with the state auditor's office. So take it away, Wolfie.
Hopefully I don't miss anything up here. Good evening, Mayor and Council. No fancy PowerPoints from me tonight. I will, but what I want to do is, knowing that unless someone wants to raise their hand, that I don't think any of the council has been involved with the general obligation bond transaction or an election. So I wanted to, for a short period of time, go over some of the basics, kind of what we're responsible for as your financial advisor, what our tasks are in response to calling a general obligation bond election. The information I'll provide you will go into the weeds as much as you want me to. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have. As John had stated, we've been in business for 25 years. We've done quite a few transactions. I think we've gone over $5 billion. We represent over 125 different cities in Oklahoma. We do every type of transaction that's the most economical and fits the actual type of project that you're looking to finance, fits that community's needs the most. We also represent school districts, universities, counties, other types of governmental type entities. But all of those entities are in the state of Oklahoma. We do not represent any entities outside the state of Oklahoma. The general obligation bond process, the authority for you to be able to issue debt is through Article 10 of the Constitution. And there are 3 sections that you can issue general obligation bonds under. You can do it under Section 26, Section 27 of Article 10, or Section 35. You are looking to issue this under Article 10, Section 27. And what that authorizes you to do as far as the ability to incur debt. And Oklahoma municipalities, cities, not public trust, can only issue debt through this provision of the Constitution. And so you look at what are your parameters, what can you do and what can you not do. You cannot issue bonds for longer than 25 years. You're looking at issuing these bonds for a period of 20 years. You require a 50% plus 1 approval. There's an older section of Section 26 that a lot of communities use for years that they use for street-type projects, roads and bridges, that required a 60% approval, which is the same section that public schools in Oklahoma have to use, which is Section 26. By using Section 27, you have to actually own the property. That's a specific provision of Article 10. Section 27. There is a long process of documents that have to be prepared, but the first thing you have to do, obviously, is have an election. You have to give a 60-day notice and so forth. There is a requirement that once you pass an election, and the preparation and the sale of general obligation bonds that transaction and all the legal documents that are associated with that transaction have to be approved by the State Attorney General's office. Every general obligation bond in the state of Oklahoma, since statehood, has to run their actual transaction by the bond desk, the State Attorney General. The State Attorney General signs off and makes sure that you complied with all the documents. Most of all the documents are what are called bond forms. They are approved and authorized legal documents that are provided by the State Attorney General to the individual entities and their professionals that are working with that transaction. On our end, some of the important things that we want to point out on this transaction at $8.18 million would be what's called bank qualified. And what that means is that banks have a greater appetite for this type of debt because they get to write off 80% of their carrying costs when they purchase tax-exempt debt. They not only get to exclude the interest that you pay that bank from their income, they get to write off, they can go out and borrow funds. Federal Home Loan Bank, they can take deposits and they can write off 80%. So if they go out and borrow at 2%, they effectively get to write off 80% of that borrowing amount. So if it's 2%, they take 80%. They get to basically write off 1.6%. So they're borrowing at 0.4. They turn around and bid on your bonds at a rate that's at market rate. They make quite a spread, so they can be very aggressive on their bids on the interest on these bonds. In Oklahoma, all general obligation bonds have to be competitively bid. We're competitively bidding these. We will send a preliminary official statement that we prepare along with notice of sale to all interested parties. There is an actual notice of sale that's published in the newspaper. We will send out to all area and local banks, state banks, some national banks. This transaction will be bank qualified, which means it'll have a strong appetite from banks and it will have a stronger appetite from state banks. So when we look at whatever day that we set for the sale of these bonds, and I actually provided some information, I have hard copies here tonight, there's an actual timeline of what will happen if the election passes, how bonds are sold and so forth. But in regards to the timing, in regards to the structure, if we can reasonably soon after hopefully a successful election, that we will be providing packages to banks, but we will get authorization from you to provide packages that include, like I said, the preliminary official statement, the notice of sale, kind of the parameters of the bidding process. We will provide that to the potential interested parties. We will also have these bonds rated by a national rating agency. The size of the transaction at $8.18 million, the term at 20 years, to get aggressive in the market. We believe that it's going to be more advantageous to this community to actually have a national rating done. There are 3 different rating agencies. There's Moody's, S&P, and Fitch. We'll probably look to maybe have Moody's rate these bonds, but Moody's or S&P, either rating agency rates most of the bonds that we actually are a part of in the sale of those bonds. We have to provide information to the rating agency 3 weeks minimum before we expect a rating from them. Our firm, as part of our contract, will provide the information to the rating agencies. We will conduct the conference call with the rating agency along with having Mr. Robinson attended along with Mr. Sugar if he would like to do that. He's shaking his head.
I won't be there.
Well, that's true. But you can come anyway.
Okay.
You can give me your cell. But that's a lot of the process of what we do. We prepare the documents that go to the Attorney General's office. We prepare the preliminary official statement, which is an offering document like a prospectus. We're involved in all preparation of all those documents. We aid providing information to you for your election, as you want to be able to break everything down into layman's terms as to, okay, what's this library? I have a house. It's a property tax. This is ad valorem tax payable, in that you will pay the bonds back only through property tax. So we will provide information to help communicate to the citizens what this tax impact on average, or first year or last year, what we project that to be. As I mentioned before, we have provided information to staff to disseminate to you as to the kind of the numbers that are involved, the big spreadsheet as to how all of this works. The important thing is that the citizens understand what their cost is to them to be able to have the library at the level that has been described for the prior 20 minutes. And I said I wasn't going to get into the weeds. I'm sure every one of you are saying, well, John, you got way into the weeds. But this is what a general obligation bond process is like. This is what our services are for, or what we do as far as our scope of services. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this process. But we're looking at, if an election does pass, that we would close the transaction. There's certain timelines that have to be met. There's a contestability period that there's a 30-day contestability period that after we submit the transcript to the Attorney General by state law, there's a 30-day open period for anyone to contest that the procedures were legal or not legal, and to contest that with the Attorney General's office. We've never had we probably have done over, 500 general obligation bond issues, if not twice that. And we've certainly not ever had any transcript ever reversed or determined or challenged by a protest. But after that 30-day process, the Attorney General's office will give a final opinion, and then we'll close. And we plan on closing this transaction, if approved by the voters, before July 1, which means it will go on the tax rolls this fall. And the reflective impact will hit the tax bills that would go out in November, early December. So thanks for your patience.
I have
think
a
you all do.
question.
Okay.
Are these muni bonds that individuals can buy or bid on? Is there
What?
that opportunity for our residents?
To be honest with you, first of all, the bonds are at 8.18 million. If someone bids on those bonds, they have to buy all 8.18 million.
Probably
But-
won't be doing that, yeah.
But what we do, and this we are entertained with this question in every one of our communities, and we can certainly make aware to the bidders. Once the packages are provided to the bidders, then they will provide 3 to 4 days, sometimes up to just a couple days before the sale, that we are interested. They have to provide a interest, and there's an actual bid form where they say we're interested, and we'll be. I didn't address, but how do these banks bid? They can bid one of 3 different ways. They can mail in a bid, which has not been done in quite some time. They can bid online, where there's an actual service that lets all broker dealers, bank dealers, so forth bid online, and they wait to the very last minute. It'll be, if we have 11 o'clock sale, 11 in the morning, they will wait till 5 till 11, and they electronically send their bid because they're watching the market right up until 11 o'clock. They will submit the bid that way. And so they also have to provide, the successful bidder will have to provide a 2% good faith deposit, so that if they bid and then they decide they want to retract their bid, 2% of $8 million, what's that, $160,000, whatever, rounded up, they will forfeit that $160,000, but they have to provide that, the successful bidder. They will bid online. As far as the 3 or 4 day period prior, we'll know who's bidding. It's more likely going to be local area banks. We will call that bank, say there are potential interested parties in Bethany that are interested in buying this part of this transaction. They certainly can buy it in the secondary market. The bonds can sell, and they can turn around and call their investment advisor and say, hey, these Bethany bonds are out there, they can buy it in the secondary. If we can certainly provide the phone number to Mr. Robinson as to these banks are bidding, and they may have some citizens, and provide that number so that citizen can call that potential successful bidder. It's a potential because we want to give them enough time to. You may have a citizen that says, I want to buy $100,000 worth of Bethany bonds. That's going to show up on the radar because the underwriter is going to look around and say, all right, where can I place all these bonds? And if you have some citizens that are what are called kind of the retail group, they can certainly communicate with them and say, hey, if you're interested, if we get the bid, we get the low interest rate bid, we'll write a ticket and sell you the bonds. But long answer to a short question. Sorry.
I have a second question. On page 2C, it says that you will assist in developing information to be presented to local voters prior to the election related to the approval of the proposed bonds. Such assistance would include, but not be limited to, the preparation of brochures and pamphlets for distribution to the public, providing information to local media groups, presentations to local civic organizations, and other assistance as directed by the city. What does that look like to us?
Okay. I'm going to kind of go in reverse order of everything you just stated. Every community that we work with, every school district we work with that has a general obligation bond election, there are going to be multiple meetings where and I don't know the direction of where Bethany would go, but there will be town hall meetings. There will be some organizational type meetings that we provide our services where we, like I think I mentioned before, we show up one-page handout, simply this is how, great library, but this is how much it's going to cost, so you can make an informed business decision. And, well, something like that, but actually not quite as detailed, but available if necessary. As far as the brochures and the information that's passed out, that's different from community to community. If you have a group that has decided that they're going to sponsor the library election, and they're going to prepare material, and they say, we have information that's part of the architect's rendering and so forth. We want to put in a pamphlet or a brochure, but we also want to show the tax impact of what this is going to cost you, and to kind of we provide that cost impact. We provide a FAQ response. How does this affect me, or how long are these bonds, and what can the maximum rate be? We provide that information. We really, more than anything, we work with the city to say, where can we help you out when it comes to the boring number part of this, as opposed to the exciting, new library. And that's all part of our services. And like I said, we would be glad to come to whatever necessary meetings that you have and address any questions from a financial perspective that's had on this. That's what that paragraph has to do. Yeah, 2C. Well, yeah, sorry, it is 1C. It's on page 2.
Council, any other questions of Mr. Wolf or staff?
Yes, I've got a question. Do you think this is a very good time to sell bonds? Or do you think the market may go one way or the other, or it may just languish around for another 10 years?
Well, we're your financial advisor in the past. We hopefully will be in the future, and I'm glad, Mr. Shirey, that you had I get to talk a little bit about one of the main reasons you hire us. we obviously, everyone's aware. If you're not aware, you don't care much about what shows up on bond market, stock market type media. Is the Federal Reserve Federal Open Market Committee met in December, and they raised the federal fund rate. And what that basically is the borrowing banks, the rate that banks, they don't actually set it. They put a target out there. They can't legally set the federal fund rate, but what that means to you is, well, everyone thought rates were going to go up, and they did. But when they mentioned in November that, well, we think the Feds are going to raise the rate, they've been talking about it for a year, the market kind of adjusted. So, well, the chairman says we're going to raise rates, so the market kind of adjusted up. But since then, the 10-year Treasury today was at the lowest it's been since April of last year. The rates that we're in right now are the lowest rates within 50 basis points in the history of the United States. We're not just in a dip. We're in the last 7 years, we're in the lowest interest rate market we have been in. And no one can say, I remember when it was lower. It was never lower than in the last 7 years. And this is not 50 years, or this is historically. So, and no one really knows. We would think, well, rates can do nothing but go up. And we can say that. We don't say it at meetings anymore because we really have no firm data that says now, after the Feds raise rates, they're talking about, well, we may raise rates, but now we're not going to do it in March. We don't think that rates are going to jump up dramatically for quite some time. We're going to stay very low. Now, will they go up? I mean, the 10-year was at a 188. That's 10 years at 188. In most average markets, 10 years, 20, 30 years ago, 10-year is at a 4.5% to 5.5%. We have been way under that for quite a while. If it's a tough balance between when's the time to borrow and what's our economy like. We know what Oklahoma's economy and what it's facing right now. But if those entities are addressing projects that they feel are essential and need to be addressed today and at today's cost, as far as not just financing costs but construction costs, and someone was to come to me and say, well, is this a good time to borrow? I would say, borrow, borrow, borrow. And you say, well, it's never good to borrow. As far as a going concern, a taxing entity, say, well, we're going to either borrow today or 5 years from now. I can just show you historical chart, what's happened the last 5 to 7 years. And there's so much of a spread between 5, 10, 15, 20-year borrowings between now and what it was 7 years ago, a decade ago. We are less than half of where we were 7 years ago. So what does that mean to you? That means if we were at rates where we were 7 years ago and looking at, okay, what's our tax impact going to be on our citizen to accomplish a $9.9 million facility, you could only do $7 million and it'd still be the same tax impact. It's saving millions of dollars in your case. And so I don't know if that's... I didn't want to get very technical, but that's where we're at on rates. So I believe it is a good time to borrow and take advantage of where the market is today.
All things aside, then, this is the time to build.
Yes.
I mean,
it is.
It is
and there's a lot of hedging that's done because there's so much going on with our economy. There's different opinions as to when our excessive supply in oil is going to, what direction it's going to go, and globally and so forth. So, at some point in time, we can borrow now, but if the oil industry recovers in 3 years, you got to look at everything in a 10 and 15-year window. And so you borrow money when it made sense at a low cost, and then you obviously hope for some recovery that's impacting, of course, Oklahoma and the oil-producing states more than other states. But right now, you're at the bottom of the interest rate ladder, and you have been for quite some time.
Once you have the wrong election,
It requires a 50% majority plus one. It just needs to pass by 50% plus one vote. And I mentioned that I addressed with a lot of the citizens and interested parties look at school district elections and say, well, they have a supermajority requirement. They use a different section of the Constitution that they're allowed to use, and so it's less than school district passage requirement.
Council, any other questions? Yeah, thank you, Mr. Wolf.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agreement as presented.
Okay, we have a motion for approval of the agreement. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Please post your votes. Thank you. Item 6 is consideration and possible action with respect to a resolution number 1403 of the City Council of the City of Bethany, Oklahoma, authorizing the calling and holding of a special election in the City of Bethany, State of Oklahoma, otherwise known as the city, on the 5th day of April 2016 for the purpose of submitting to the registered qualified electors of said city the question of the issuance of the bonds of said city in an amount not to exceed the sum of $8,180,000 to provide funds for the purpose of constructing, furnishing, and equipping of a new public library on the existing public library site within said city, to be owned exclusively by the city, levying and collecting an annual tax in addition to all other taxes upon all the taxable property in said city for the payment of the interest on and principal of said bonds. John?
It's time to approve the resolution, so we can send the documents to the election board first thing in the morning. And I know you don't believe me, but this was about the shortest time I've ever heard John speak. Wolf. You think he was in the weeds. Trust me, he was not in the weeds. But we need to get these documents approved tonight so we can get the documents to the election board first thing in the morning. And I would strongly urge you to approve the resolution.
Do we have a motion for approval of resolution number 1403?
I move we approve the are you saying it? I'll second it.
Okay.
Whatever.
Any questions or discussion?
Do it.
Please post your votes.
We've worked on that for some time.
All right. Item 7, consideration and possible approval of an amendment to the interlocal agreement for the multi-agency Oklahoma County Tactical Team. John?
Thank you. You have a memo from Chief Cole, and he advises that we do have agent officers assigned to this unit, but the new lawyer for the county sheriff's office wanted this agreement to be passed by the state attorney general office, which they did, and they also approved it. And now they want us to re-sign it. It's the same document, they just want it re-signed, so I would ask that you approve the document once more. This allows our officers to participate in the county's tactical unit, and then we also receive the benefit if we need their services.
All right. Do we have such a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Please post your
Yeah,
vote.
One question, does this tactical team operate anywhere other than the county of Oklahoma County? Or can it-
They would be called out, but that would be an extreme backup, like.
I'm sure if there was a large enough
All hands on
issue,
deck, this
Yes,
would be-
okay.
but their primary focus is within Oklahoma County. Please post your votes.
There was an incident in Yukon about a month ago where a man barricaded himself in a building, and this tactical team was employed in that rescue.
Consideration and possible approval, item 8, of an engineering contract CIP 15-01 for a sanitary sewer extension near Northwest 48th and College and authorize the mayor to sign the document on behalf of the city of Bethany. John?
Last year, you did authorize us to negotiate a contract. We have a contract now with Smith Roberts Bulbswater. They've done several small jobs and are anxious to start this job. I would recommend that we authorize me to sign this contract and let them get going. This project has been an ongoing issue for the citizens in that part of town for some time, and this is a good second step.
Just to clarify something about this contract, it's broken into stages. The first 3 steps involve laying out the layout of a potential replacement sewer, contact with the landowners, and exploration of willingness to obtain easements from. And there is a provision in the contract that if that doesn't work out satisfactorily, it can be terminated at that point. And I believe the number is it $22,000? $22,000 is basically what you're approving, giving the go-ahead for tonight.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city manager to enter into the contract for engineering.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Any questions or discussion? Please post your votes. Item 9 is consideration and possible approval of community promotional banners for the Bethany Improvement Foundation. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last year, about this time, the Bethany Improvement Foundation asked that we give them a permit to install their banners to advertise their Route 66 Festival, which is held Memorial Day weekend, actually on Saturday. There's a lot of setup on Friday night, and then Saturday the event happens. Thousands of people show up, if not tens of thousands, at least thousands. It's a great event. It's only been rained out half the time. In the days the sun shines, it's a great event, and I would ask that you authorize this permit once more. We have the banners in storage, and I think I may see John Martin here if you have questions that I can't answer.
Any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the permit with bid.
Second.
For bid.
Okay. Questions or comments? Please post your votes. Thank you. We let you off the hook easy, Mr. Martin. Item 10, consideration and possible selection of an interim city manager to serve pending search replacement for city manager arising from the retirement of John Schugert with a proposed executive session as authorized by Section 307B1 of the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act. Do we have a motion for executive session?
So moved.
We have a-
Second.
all right. Please post your votes for entering into executive session. Thank you. At this time, we will recess the city council meeting and enter into executive session.
All the money mechanics have been explained, the band comes up in a minute.
All right, I'm going to call us back. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
How many more months do we need to be paying utilities?
We should be through. There may be one little bitty
There's
thing
one
left.
on this one, and,
We'll make sure they get that off too then.
okay, all right, I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Please post your votes. Item 2 is new business. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Hospital Trust? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until February 16th, 2016. And hearing no objection, we are adjourned. I'll now open the Bethany Development Authority. We have the consent docket items 1A and B. Do we have a motion for approval on those items?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Please post your votes. Is there any new business to come before the Bethany Development Authority? Hearing none, if there's no objection, we will adjourn until February 16th, 2016. Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. Thank you. And that concludes tonight's business.